when you know you've absolutely forgiven and it's authentic and the work is done, those won't pop into your head anymore. So I'll give you a very quick example if we have time, but
Yeah, please do. Yes,
when
absolutely.
in my last corporate job, I had a 50%, I'd worked up to a 50% share in a business that I was setting up for someone else who was a silent partner. I'm not going into it. It's, not non-disclosure agreements and stuff, but basically he took 50% of the company away from me and I had to go to court and have an out of court settlement. And I had thought, because of all the work I've done, I was okay with it. I knew I'd done some work on it. I'd figured out why they did it. It was, kind of greed and whatever. But I said to my bestie at one of our forgiveness retreats, I said, there's something's missing
Mm.
because it's still popping into my head, not very often but I'm still getting triggered by it. I can still, when it pops into my head, I can feel that gut feeling, that sick feeling in my stomach. And I said, and I don't know what more to do. And we were doing this exercise where we put ourselves in other people's shoes. So she was me and I was my unscrupulous old business partner. And what I realized is the reason I was struggling to forgive was because I couldn't understand why they'd done it. It felt like me. Why have they done this to me? And what came out of that was it wasn't personal and it was greed. And
Right.
once I'd resolved that and understood that it wasn't personal, I don't think about it anymore. It might come up in a conversation, but I don't have any visceral reaction. And you were saying, when you think about it, you feel bad for a moment, you get that horrible feeling of guilt or shame or whatever. When you've done the forgiveness work and to forgive yourself, it's a matter of just trusting yourself that you did the best you can, asking for forgiveness. It might not be forthcoming, saying that you're sorry. There's techniques like the Ho'oponopono, which is a beautiful Hawaiian practice where you sing some words. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I'm sorry, I love you, thank you. So there's lots of different practices. There's also an atonement practice, which comes from A Course in Miracles, which is really beautiful, where you kind of make an atonement for what you've done. There's just specific wording that we do in the training, but that you've accomplished forgiveness for yourself or someone else when it doesn't have any physical reaction in you. It might come up in conversation, or you might, but it doesn't keep popping into your head like all the time. Like
Or your
even if
your
it's only
stomach
once every
doesn't
six
cramp up
months.
when you think about it, that, "Oh, I
Right.
did that
Yeah,
thing
or
and I
get that
think it's
horrible,
bad."
oh my God. Yeah,
Mm.
that stops. Once you've
Interesting.
done the
Okay.
forgiveness, that stops. Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that. I really appreciate it. So what sort of practices do you teach?
The forgiveness is one whole package. It's a sort of a separate thing on its own. I do shamanic healing. So I started my spiritual complementary therapy healing journey doing a diploma in complementary therapy, so aromatherapy, massage, reflexology. I loved it, but it wasn't something I could do full time. I still was in the corporate world, building businesses in healthcare, rehabilitation. And I did lots of weekday courses, crystal healing, Reiki. I loved it all. But I just didn't find my niche. And I was still looking when I went to a Psy Trance festival in Portugal. Long story, I won't go into it. But I ended up there and I just stopped drinking. I was sober, I don't know, quite a few months, but not that long. And so I didn't really want to go out partying, but it was quite a spiritual festival, although it was Psy Trance. And the theme was shamanism. And I'd heard the word once, but I just thought it referred to people in the Amazon who are indigenous healers.
Oh,
It
okay.
turns out that they've now used it as a collective word for all indigenous healers everywhere who work with medicines. And there's a number of techniques or practices that are common pretty much to all the shamans around the world, even though most of them have never met each other. And
Okay.
the whole talk of this it was a liminal village, they called it, and there were talks every day from all different shamans around the world, and I was just glued to my seat. Well, I had to keep coming going, but and so and I was just like, oh my God, this is my tool belt. I found my tool belt. And we do things like soul retrieval, because when we have trauma, physical or emotional or both, in our philosophy, this is just our belief in shamanism, a piece of your soul will split off temporarily to prevent hurt and pain, a bit like when you go into shock and all
Yeah.
the body pumps out chemicals. That's the physical response to it, but the spiritual response is a piece of your soul will split off. And I just imagine it as it's got like a golden thread or an elastic sort of cord that keeps it there but not with you,
It's
so that it
attached,
protects you
just
from
not
the
in
hurt.
you.
Yeah. And then when the incident is over, that piece of soul comes back. So it's a protection mechanism. But sometimes when the trauma is really great, it can get split off and it ends up in a place we call the land of lost souls. And so part of my job as a shamanic practitioner is to take a journey into the upper world to We just call it the upper world. There's upper, middle, and lower. Middle is our world that we live on, this earthly plane, and then the lower world is down and the upper world is up. And I will go on a journey with my allies. I have spirit guides that support me. And I will go and see if there's any pieces of your soul out there willing and ready to come back to you to make you back more whole. You can live without lots of soul pieces, but obviously when they return, they bring a gift, and you're rebuilding yourself in terms of spiritual, essences.
So you basically take people on this quite substantial spiritual journey to rediscover themselves.
Yeah, in lots of different ways.